Ladies and gentlemen, the Planet Mikey podcast proudly presents all the way from Vegas, Vince Papalopoulos.
As you can see, we have a guest from Barstool Sports. Yes, he's one of the best. Welcome, Jerry Thornton, to the Planet Mikey podcast. To miss this show would be a sin, so we thank you for tuning in. And to the audience, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button, please. Yeah! While I'm here, thank you, Mikey, for hiring me for this great moment. I know I come at great expense to this show, but Jerry Thornton is worth it. Yeah! Now, here's Mikey.
Is my mic on? Hey, is this thing on? Welcome, everybody. We're going to have a fun show. Why? Because Jerry Thornton is here, a member of the Planet Mikey Hall of Fame for his multiple entertaining appearances, even the audio portion. JT, how are you, man?
You know what? I thought I was good coming into this, but after hearing, what is it, Nikki Papadopoulos there? That's a career highlight for me now. Previous to this, it was Bill Belichick saying, Jerry, it's an honor to meet you live on the air.
That's right.
But you just got a Vegas lounge act to work my name into a song, and that guy is going to be working the big room soon, I'm telling you.
Well,
no more off the strip. No more, back room, the champagne room before the, before the dancers come out.
And the shoulder
he's not
rub.
Going to be warming up the strippers anymore.
Well, there's an opening now too because Bobby Rydell is dead, right? Isn't he? Bobby Rydell? Didn't he do the Americanized version of Volare? Whoa! But the original was done by an actual Italian, Neil Madugno. You remember this one?
No, I'm guessing that this came out of like one of those phonographs with the big speaker shaped like a cone, and you had to crank the side of it.
RCA, the RCA logo.
Yeah, I'm guessing he never went to like disc or digital download. Is this stuff available?
I don't even know what that shit is. Jerry Thornton, by the way, just so you know, joins us by Zoom because he's tech hip, and normally he comes on into the studio. But, when you have a touch of a cold, Jerry Thornton, we don't want you anywhere near the studio. We love you, but we don't want to get your germs.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a cold, but then I realized, too, whatever I'm carrying, it's better than what you guys have.
That's
so,
exactly right. That's a good point.
I always was a little nervous, maybe an open sore. Maybe if I made contact with blood or something like that, it would be the end for me.
My volume just went real loud, Smitty. I think it's like being at the Jimi Hendrix concert. I can hear you. So we're messing around with this thing because, Zoom is...
Should I just get in the car and come to you guys?
Yes. It's only a 40-minute ride from where you are on the shoreline. By the way, I want to mention our sponsors here because we have to. It's a mandate. We're brought to you by Pro Automotive, and normally we give you 3 locations, but they have officially moved all 3 locations into one. I think it's McGee Toyota's former residence, and there's a picture of it on your screen. They have one location now. That's to consolidate all their certified mechanics and fix everybody's car in one place. Pro Automotive in Dudley, Massachusetts, on West Main Street. That's the new location. Now, do we have a song for them too, Smitty? No? No, but we will, though. We're working on a song. We got the band in here. We're going to have a song just specially made for our sponsor, Pro Automotive. And, of course, my grandma's coffee cake, which Jerry Thornton knows, are directly delivered to your home and freshly. And what flavor would you like this time?
You can never go wrong with blueberry, pal.
Okay.
It's just one of those flavors that's good in every iteration of it. The last one you sent me, I wasn't sure whether to cut it up and serve to guests or to just go rent an Airbnb and just stay with it for a week. And
well,
go on
you probably wouldn't be the first person
on the beach. It makes sweet, passionate love to it. I recommend just dining on it, but
and the crumbs get everywhere, and it's okay because it's for the right reasons. Now we are available on Spotify. We're on iHeart podcasts. We're on Apple Pods, and well, we like to say wherever you get your podcasts, but it sounds like it makes an asshole out of you when you do that. YouTube, by the way, subscribe at YouTube. Just there you go. I tap this thing once in a while. Let me ask now with Jerry Thornton. The thing is, you can ask him about anything, and he can go off in a humorous fashion. But have I been hearing that you've been making a lot of wild vacations? Did I see a picture of you on Facebook or Twitter or something where you're in Hawaii?
I spent Thanksgiving in Honolulu, my friend. Yeah, not the worst way to spend. It was no day at the beach, Mikey. No. Yeah, my sister lived out there for a bunch of years, and she came to me over the summer and said, "You remember my friend?" And yeah, and you remember she has a family in a big house. Yeah, inviting us out for Thanksgiving. I didn't let her finish the sentence. I just said yes.
I'm there.
Just jumped right on that. Thanksgiving morning, we had some time to kill. The family was preparing the meal. They said, "You guys just go enjoy the island." And she opening credits of Gilligan's Island. You know, when they back when theme songs used to tell you like the premise of a show.
Yes.
You know, like the weather started getting rough, stranded with 7 imbeciles. We were at that marina. She led me down a flight of stairs to a dive bar. This was Thanksgiving morning at probably 10 a.m. their time. And we had drinks and we ordered nachos, and everyone in the place was cheering for cheering against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I was like, this is the greatest Thanksgiving since the first one. No, even the Pilgrims weren't having that much fun. Yeah. So, yeah, spent a couple of weeks ago. There was weather out there that I swear, Mike, if I had a thermostat to control the world, I said I would set it to this. Like 1 degree higher, 1 degree lower would diminish it. And if I had you know how like a lot of fans have a remote now, I would just set the breeze to exactly that. And now I'm back here where it's a Chekhov play.
It's a joke.
A cold dystopian hellscape bereft of life, where there's just everyone's walking around dead-eyed and wishing they were anywhere else. So yeah, it was a nice Thanksgiving. How was yours?
Yet we gleefully pay the exorbitant taxes and the tolls on the Massachusetts Turnpike just for the honor of living in a state that's completely run by lesbians. Right?
You know, listen, lesbians run a lot of things well. I admire the ladies.
I relate.
Other ladies. I
like
really do.
I like the same
just
things
don't
they
really
like.
like the way they're running this. But yeah,
Right.
I just don't like the way they're particularly the job they're doing on this one.
Right.
To be fair.
Yeah, in any other state, you know, with all due respect to their lesbianism, you know, they would probably be out of office, you know, lickety split. What? What do you mean? Now of course, Jerry Thornton is a hugely
I'm stealing it.
proficient football guy, and you must be in your glory because you know what? None of us expected any such thing that we're watching this year. They were 4-13 last year or some shit, and everybody was like, this is not good. Magically, Mike Vrabel and Drake May have taken this franchise and lifted it up to almost near heavenly levels. Are you excited? I ask?
Mikey, a year plus 1 day ago, they won a game that I wanted them to lose. They had the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Gerard Mayo couldn't even lose properly. The Bills just set up a box and stick trap and laid some bait in there, and he walked into it, and they sprung the trap and screwed us out of the number 1 pick. Since then, every single thing that organization has done is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted Mayo fired. To his eternal credit, Mr. Kraft admitted a mistake and pulled the trigger. We can talk a little bit about Mayo. I think in the long run, he was done dirty. He was that guy that just was promoted way too fast, you know?
Yeah.
He was Lieutenant Dyke from Band of Brothers. Like, he just had no business running a easy company.
Yeah.
And they hired Mayo, Vrabel, who's been Dick Winters from the beginning. Everyone respects him. He's a smart commander. I love it. He brings in McDaniels. I wanted them to draft Will Campbell. The signings they made in free agency jibed with exactly what they needed. It's been incredible. And I was there on July 23rd for the first day of training camp. And I think I professed my early love for this team. I think I was willing to say, this is something special. I could feel it. You felt it in the crowd. Everyone was a lot of Drake May jerseys. Like, people had made that commitment. They made that leap of faith where they got rid of their Mac Jones jersey, where they just put the duct tape and wrote May over the name, and were ready to love again. Yeah. And I'll tell you, the first 3 games, it was dicey. The 2 home games, the one that they lost to the Raiders, who won 3 games all year and fired Pete Carroll.
Right.
And then the 3rd game where they lost to Pittsburgh, and you realize how Pittsburgh just had to luck into a playoff
barely
spot.
made it, barely.
But after that, they figured it out. From there, they figured it out. They didn't panic. They stuck by Ramondre Stevenson, who's been an absolute beast.
And if you check the boxes,
no complaints.
If you check all the boxes, you say, okay, let's see. After when the Belichick era came to a close and the Mayo era began, we had lost the greatest coach ever, the greatest tight end ever, the greatest quarterback ever. You're going to have a little bit of a downhill trend there, but no one thought it would be as bad as it was. Well, no one also thought it would be as good as it was when you have maybe the greatest quarterback right now in the NFL. You have a coach that's 14-3. Yeah. You have a running back that's functional, healthy, tough guy. Everything's working well. And even the defense is coming around in a big way, Jerry.
Yeah, when I was a kid, they went from 3-11 to 11-3. This was the Steve Grogan team, Chuck Fairbanks, great running team, whatever.
Yeah.
John Hanno is, the greatest offensive lineman of all time. This feels like that. All of a sudden you just went from this downtrodden team everyone was wiping their feet on to now the team that people fear. I mean, for 2 years at least, and I'll argue for the better part of 3 years, they've been the team that you love to play because you're gonna get right. You're gonna work out these things that you've been doing wrong or whatever. Yeah. You just hang in there and watch the Patriots barf all over themselves or whatever. And now the Patriots are the team that gets to just play steady football and watch their opponents implode in front of them. It's glorious. It really feels like the world has righted itself. For a while there, It didn't make sense.
No.
If you're probably not a Stranger Things fan, but we were in the upside down. There were monsters chasing us. None of it made sense. And now we're back in Hawkins and everything is the way it should be. The world is at peace once again. And I'm making a lot of nerd references. I'm going to be honest with you, but this is what I'm here for.
As Ray Stevens once sang, to his credit, and it made him some money, everything is beautiful in its own way. Hey, by the way, I got a song for Drake May at the end. We're gonna get to that. But Jerry Thornton from Barstool Sports.
There's a quote that's been associated with a lot of people. I believe its origin was this Broadway producer named David Merrick, and he said, "It's not enough that I succeed. Others must also fail." And so to have this happen to the Patriots, wow. The Kansas City Chiefs have got a cold dose of reality slapped in their face, while Cincinnati was a disaster from the beginning, where the Ravens have stopped being a threat. And, Buffalo, I keep thinking of Buffalo, how they spent 20 years saying all we need is for Tom Brady to leave the division and all our prayers are answered, and then we'll be dominant. And he did. And they were on top of the division for 5 years.
They can't
and now it's over. Now they find now they've got a guy who puts up even better numbers than Brady did. Notice I'm not going to say he's better than Brady. He's got 7 Super Bowls to win before I'm making that claim. But who put up better numbers than Brady did in a lot of ways, who can run the way he could. And by the way, he's 23 years old.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's got a bunch of Randy Mosses and Wes Welkers. He's doing it with good, serviceable, productive NFL receivers, but there's no studs around him. He's got a new offensive line. He's got 2 rookies on it. And he just topped 4,800 yards combined passing and running. So it's got to be a terrible time to be a Bills fan, to be a Jets fan, to watch them just.
Right.
They thought
It's
the
sad.
Patriots were no longer a threat to them.
It's continued a sad saga for them. You know, the jersey you see on the internet of the Norwood jersey where the letters Norwood are all pushed to the right, wide to the right on the shirt. It's just been a long time thing for them. Now, I know politics is not your main thing, nor is it mine or Smitty's for that matter, right, Smitty?
Oh, yeah.
But I got some political questions to ask just for some quick takes from you, Jerry Thornton from Barstool Sports. Should the United States, I mean, it seems like right now we're ready to add some states. Should the United States make states out of Cuba, Venezuela, Greenland, Puerto Rico, and Canada?
This really set up like a Miss America pageant question.
Yes.
Well, I believe that the Americas will have like a map that people, as such.
Contiguous.
Yeah, you know what? Those places would love to join the U.S. I don't care what you're hearing, like from anyone who's outraged by it. If I'm sitting in Cuba right now, right? If I'm chopping sugarcane or rolling cigars that we can't export to Jerry Thornton up in Plymouth, Massachusetts,
Right.
which send me all the Cuban cigars you can. I'm sitting there, I would love nothing more than to have that. And you remember how in Godfather 2, how cool Havana looked?
Absolutely.
Well,
especially
it looks the same today.
Horse with the burro, the burro show and the sex show with. Remember they go, oh, whoa, look at this guy. That's just a, but no,
who's the guy who comes out and they're like, wow, and he had a name like King Kong or Goliath
exactly.
or something like that, right?
Exactly.
Listen, I could live without Greenland, but whatever. We already have Alaska. Greenland feels a little redundant, but sure, come in.
Yeah.
Listen, if they can keep expanding the NHL,
right?
Just
they can.
Just to collect those buy-in fees. If people want to pay a franchise fee to become an expansion state,
Yeah.
like how about if we set up like a minor league of other states? Like we've got our 50.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe we should make it like 48. I'm not really sure that like Vermont qualifies as a full state. Like there's a couple we can kind of just relegate.
Yes.
But have it be like that league, and your boy Ben will know what it's called, but in British football, where they just have that lower league. Like we
AAA.
can take in Greenland. Venezuela seems like it's a pretty cool place.
Yeah.
I'd love to go there on vacation.
Well,
just not when it's run by a communist maniac.
I think when you get to the point where you're talking Greenland, what you're going to do there is you're going to acquire it. It's huge. And then you pray for global warming so that you can have some beachfront property up there eventually in 100 years or so. What do you think?
Oh yeah, listen, I'm all about certain amounts of the sea levels rising. Like when I lived in Hanover, there were 3 towns between me and the ocean, and I still had to pay flood insurance. I was just going out there with cans of like Aquanet and spraying them up into the sky, hoping, all right, I'm going to poke a hole in the ozone.
Sure.
We'll wipe out Hingham, Situate, maybe parts of Marshfield, Norwell. I can live without them. I want waterfront property. Like Lex Luthor,
Right.
when he wanted to blow up the San Andreas Fault because he bought up all of Nevada.
Yeah, I'll make my own climate happen, and whatever I want here. But you're still living on the beach, and you like that a lot. You have views from your balcony there that are gorgeous.
You're absolutely right. That was the dream. I made it come true. So now I like the ocean levels right where they are. Like a little bit further, and I'm going to be like, if my ground floor becomes a indoor swimming pool, I'm going to be all against that.
Now,
but sure.
What if it became a nude beach down below you? Would that be something you'd be out on the balcony more if it was a nude beach?
That's one of those things that sounds good in theory, right? When you hear nude beach, every one of us, our mind defaults to the cast of Baywatch in 1989.
Right.
But look at the average beach and imagine everybody there naked. It's
All the
gonna
fatties.
be. Oh, real quick. When I worked in the court system, we had this creepy lawyer, and I mean, he was how he didn't have a court-ordered ankle bracelet on, I'll never know, because he was just a total creep show. His phone went off in his briefcase one time. I had to go out in the main hallway and give it to him, like, hey, don't leave your phone on in here. I swear to you, his briefcase had a luggage tag on it from Hedonism 2, which is one of those swingers, nudist resorts. Like, that's the kind of person who goes to a place where no one wears clothes. It's going to be some old guy who's like nutsack is dragging on the ground behind him like a snail, you know, and just, no.
Slime.
Nude beach, good in theory. But I defy you, walk a mile at one of those places out on the outer Cape, like Truro or P-Town, and tell me if you ever want to see that again. No matter how you picture those women, they really end up looking like Alice from the Brady Bunch.
But you're Irish. You're Irish. I'm Irish. You know, if my wife wanted to go to a nude beach, I'd say, sweetie, I'm Irish. Two things that don't go with Irish: nude and beach. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But
we both need that prosthetic that Mark Wahlberg had in Boogie Nights.
Oh yeah, right. Well, that wasn't even was that really fake? Now a couple more quick political questions for you, JT. We talked about giving all the government jobs to lesbians. We know that's probably not going to be in the long term. Why no audit, though? The people in Massachusetts pay so much, and they voted for an audit of the state government, and the state government refuses to comply with the demand from the public. Why not?
Because they don't have to. It's just as simple as that. Like, okay, if we do, this will be problematic. It'll expose that we're a bunch of kleptocrats. And if we don't, we'll just get fawning pieces about us written in, like, you know, the Globe and Boston Magazine.
Yeah.
And the people who really care about this stuff are old, and there's plenty more people with, you know, WGBH tote bags who are going to vote for whatever your identity is. They're not going to care. Like, I want someone who I want a fixer. Right? I want that person who's not going to sit around and talk about a thing, but go, hey, we're going to address this issue. I spent enough time in state government to realize that doesn't really exist.
Doesn't happen.
They're all just careerists. I'm the one who left, Mikey. I'm the one who left the state.
Right.
No one does that because I just I made opportunities because I don't want to be that person who's just sitting there dreaming of someday becoming an assistant chief court officer and working for Judge
even though the benefits were great, right? The benefits were great, but
you got time off, you got job security. You also work with the laziest, most corrupt people I've ever met in my life, and to the point where people used to say to me, like, "Do you wear like a gun? Do you have any weapons?" I said, "If they ever give these people I work with guns, I'm quitting on the spot." Well, what about a taser? I go, they would use tasers to heat up Hot Pockets. Like, there's no way. And if I had a gun too, I'd be shooting the guy who, like, has to take a cigarette break after we were just on break for 45 minutes. So, the bottom line is the same people at that level are running the state. And you and I are minorities because we actually care. We'd actually like things to get done instead of there's some problem and everyone goes, this is an outrage. I say the time for talk is over. This calls for action, and we're going to do something about this right now. No more talk.
Yeah.
And that's all they do.
Well,
there you go. I solved the problem by saying we have to talk about it. You'll see them on Facebook.
When they need to have a raise or to raise taxes on the people living in Massachusetts, they just because they're all Democrats, they just say, yeah, let's do it. And then there's no checks and balances or no recourse. It says that, okay, the taxes are up. And the raises, I think Michelle Wu gave herself a 20% raise. Why? What did she do that deserves a 20% raise?
There you go. And now they're talking about a thing they have in London, where you pay a fee to drive into the city, which I would be all for if I owned a restaurant in Quincy, Milton, Dorchester. Like, sure. Yeah. Charge people to come into your city. That's going to be great. And when it's, tumbleweeds rolling through the place and you're collecting $0 from people, good luck with that. Look, as long as they keep building bike lanes, Mike.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
More bike lanes
through Brookline.
And all we then is need just more bicyclists. That's the next step they're going to take. I'm going to embark on a new career. Jerry Thornton, very successful guy because he's with a very successful company called Barstool Sports, which for some reason, they have no interest whatsoever in anything I do. But I do have now the power, JT, of picking a new career for myself. And I've discussed it with Smitty, and I want to get your reaction to it. And then we'll embark on a maiden voyage. I want to be the most notorious but fairest and best-looking media critic in the history of Massachusetts. And New England is, I can critique anybody from even Hartford or Springfield, Rhode Island. We don't give a shit. We'll say whatever we want.
Okay, but you haven't ruled out fitness model altogether, right?
No.
Have you?
No.
That's still on the table.
Well, I gave up the underwear modeling a few months ago once my ass got too fat for the back of the JCPenney catalog, in my briefs. So am I qualified to be a media critic? I say yes, and here's why. Good question, though. I worked for 18 radio stations in the last 48 years, AM and FM, 6 TV gigs. I've been fired 8 times. I've been hired 22 times. I've made 12 comebacks. Now, believe me, I'm not bragging, especially about the firings, but that just shows you I've been around a little bit in this swirling world of media. And my TV career only ended because High Def came along. That's what fucked me on that. There's no question about that. But at this moment of my life, I don't give a shit. I don't care about who might or might not hire me or who might or might not like what I say as a media critic. It's like, fuck them if they can't take a joke. Seriously, because I got nothing. What am I going to do? Get a big job at a big city somewhere? No, it's not going to happen. So I'm here to just give an honest but fair critique of people who are on the air. Is that fair enough?
Sure. And Mikey, you also got the power of having fuck you money, right? You're not asking for anybody to give you anything, right?
No,
you
nothing.
can just let it fly.
I got money coming out of my ass. It's unbelievable. In fact, a roll of quarters just fell out of there.
Yeah, you're an independent journo now. You can just let it fly.
That's right.
Let the chips fall where they may.
Yep.
What are they going to do? They're going to cancel
Nothing.
you. They're going to shut you down. You're impervious to their
They can't do
power.
shit to me.
Like you said, right? And you've made comebacks. You've been
Tons
around
of
the world, like you
comebacks.
said, and you can't find your baby.
That's it. So I'm going to start. We're going to do this every week. We're going to have a little bit of a media critique. What's it called, Smitty, again?
It's time for the Planet Mikey Mic Drop.
That's it. It's the mic drop. Thank you. Now we have a name for this feature. So let's start with something Jerry Thornton knows a little bit about, and so does Smitty. And that is sports talk radio in a select time slot known as Afternoon Drive. Now, I came from, and Jerry Thornton has a lot of experience. We'll talk about that. I came from a lot of appearances on the big show with the Big O, and at that time, that set the standard for sports talk radio in that time slot. But now we got a competitive situation going. There are 2 stations fighting against each other for ratings. Sadly, only one is really winning this thing in the afternoon. But let's start with WEEI Afternoons. I'm sorry to say this, but the decline of WEEI's afternoon drive situation is evident. They got 3 guys now in the afternoon. And you know what they call it, Jerry Thornton? Afternoons on WEEI. That's the name of the show. That's not creative. Now, I don't know who's in charge of the creativity over there at WEEI, but, the big show with the Big O. Okay. Afternoons on WEEI. That's like saying in the library, books. It just doesn't, it's big, it's so generic, isn't it? It's a generic title for a show.
It does beg the question of what names they rejected.
Well, yes. Right.
Was it just, did they just run out of every other possibility and just they couldn't come up with a way to make the 3 names catchy? So it's kind of like when Bob Odenkirk and I'll think of it, but they had a comedy show that they just called Mr. Show.
Mr. Show. That's so generic. How about they should have come up with something that at least would attract attention, like, shave my balls or something weird that would, make people say, what's this show all about? But they got Teddy Johnson, and I did a show with Ted. I had a show, an Eddie Andelman production on NECN Monday night. It was a Monday night show, and it was Sam Gash at the time was the fullback on the Pats, and Ted Johnson. We were going to call it Gash and Johnson, but then, somebody complained, and so it ended up being the Monday Night Football show. But Teddy was he was a nice guy, fun to work with, good guy. He's got the largest neck in the history of the world, pretty much. But I like him, and I loved Sam Gash. We had a good time, but he's the third man on the afternoons on WEEI show. Fitzy, a friend of yours and a guy who I think is very funny in the number 2 chair. Fitzy, funny guy. He's thoughtful. He's knowledgeable. He knows football, and you can tell just when he starts spewing information, that he knows what he's paying attention. Now, some of his thoughts to me come across as almost like he wrote a bit rather than a spontaneous thought. But he is a very funny guy, and we both like him, correct?
Oh, he's a good friend. He's a funny guy. I find him to be extremely talented, always have. I'll be doing comedy with him at the Red Nun on Main Street in Dennis this Friday night, January 9th.
The Red Nun?
Yeah.
Is she embarrassed?
Yeah, well, she's embarrassed after the Gash and Johnson thing, and how you didn't add Marion Butts to that lineup, I'll never know. But
she's a hard habit to
sometimes
break.
you have to just. Sometimes you just have to recuse yourself, the way like in the Karen Reed trial,
yes.
Michael Proctor should have got to the crime scene and said, I'm good friends with the homeowners. I can't be handling this one.
Right.
I'll just tape off the crime scene and call it a day. I cannot be neutral. I cannot be objective on a good friend of mine. I want him to have all the success in the world. I'd love that show to go to number 1. But I want to hear your dispassionate and very objective take on the whole show.
As a media critic, I think we move on to chair number 1, and that might be the issue. That would be Andy Hart. Now, Andy Hart's knowledgeable as well. I think he obviously knows a lot about football and has been a top reporter on the Patriots franchise for a long time. But I thought he might have been better in that role than trying to anchor a 3-man rotation in a discussion format because it seems to me like Andy is trying too hard to be either A, witty, or B, caustic in a given conversational situation. And to me, it's not a natural engagement, like he's trying to look for a contradiction or something he can jump on you for. He's got a really good voice, I think. And I know he's knowledgeable, but I think he needs to be more likable. And that afternoon show, and here's what I point to the numbers on this, Jerry Thornton, because you know this. The Sports Hub gets a 16.7 share with Felger and Maz, better known as Squeaky and the Bitch. And the fall of 2024, which was the last fall rating period we had, the Sports Hub had a 16.7, and afternoons on WEEI had a 2.0. Now, that's not even fair. Now, here's the problem. The number in the afternoon, it's now 2.0. In 2021, it was 4.5. In 2015, when there were 3 guys called Dale, Holly, and Jerry Thornton on the show, they had a 9.6. Second place at 9.6 in the afternoon.
I was there for 8 quarters. We got our second place bonus all 8 quarters, and that wasn't good enough for us. Ben Kitchen can confirm we were always trying to find a way to get to number 1. We got close, but I don't know what happened. At some point, the EEI brand just became sort of toxic. One of the most popular topics on Twitter. Just type in WEEI ratings into the search bar, and you'll see people they're gleefully rooting for low ratings on that, which is weird because it's a better city when you have 2 newspapers, when you have 2 sports radio stations, when you have 2 sports cable networks. It's competition. Sure. It's good for everyone. Even Felger has made that argument. Like, he doesn't want to see EEI fail, but I don't know where they rank overall among all radio stations.
Yeah.
But I've seen them rank lower than the number of radio stations I can name.
Well,
Like,
here's the
sometimes you're so low that,
here's the number.
You know, you drive around, you see that bumper sticker for the AM station that just plays like just Christian sermons.
Portuguese
like
gospel.
You have to be below that.
Right. Well, the numbers for them on the fall of 2024 put them in 14th place in the marketplace with that 2.0. But going from a 2.0 to a 4.5, you know, as I said, when you were on there 10 years ago, you guys had a 9.6 and you were in second place, and it wasn't that difficult for you. And I just think they're making a lot of mistakes overall. And to have a generic name for a sports radio show, which is called Afternoons on WEEI. Now, onto the Sports Hub, because they clearly have been winning. Now, I call them Squeaky and the Bitch in the afternoon. I like them both. I like both Maz and Felger. Personally, they've never done anything to me, and they're obviously winning the battle. Their ratings have been consistent ever since EEI gave up the fight, you know, back in the Ordway days. With 16 shares, they seem to get every single rating period. But doesn't Felger kind of complain about every fucking thing there is?
He does, and it works. I mean, I talked to
sad, though.
Jim Murray one time. We were actually at the White House for the Patriots reception after one of the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And I said to him, "You guys are geniuses, really, because I listened to you one day. It was a Monday. Before you went to the first commercial break, I tuned in at 2. By the time you'd taken that first break at like 12:15, you said, the Patriots aren't good. It's a down year for the NFL. It's the only reason they're winning anything. The defense is suspect. Brady hides all their flaws." I said, it was the day after they beat the Falcons in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Like, they just won their 5th championship, and you had nothing but complaints.
Can't you
and he
enjoy
just kind of went
yourself a
palms
little
up
bit?
like,
Oh, my
he's like,
God.
yeah. And I just, that's when I realized it's just a game, man. It's, you know, Al Pacino in Justice for All. It's just a show. It's just a show.
Yeah,
it's
right.
not real. It's it. And it works. You know, the Bruins can be on a tear heading into the playoffs. And the narrative is, have they peaked too soon? The Celtics were box to wire, the best team in basketball.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they're built for the playoffs. They tear through the playoffs. They win a championship. And it's,
We'll find
I don't
something.
know. I think Jaylen Brown resents not being the man.
We'll find something to bitch about.
Genius, because people listen to it.
But it reminds me of a sign I saw in 1986 at the World Series at Shea Stadium after Game 6. I came in for Game 7. And there was a Mets fan holding up a big sign that said, 1918 was a fluke. Now, was that hurtful? Yeah. But it was also a good point. I say he makes a good point. They'll find something to bitch about. Now, the thing about Felger is, he complains. And he's not, you know, some of his complaints are extremely justified. But I think his trademark skepticism is something that he probably picked up on his early days learning about sports radio on The Big Show with Ordway. And then when Felger went to AM radio and tried to counter EEI, he failed. But when the FM opportunity came along, you got to give him credit. He took advantage of it. He ran with the ball, and they're winning every single ratings battle every single year. And with Maz as the co-host, and I love Maz, but you know his voice. It proves that content is better and works, even if the voice sounds like an angry Minnie Mouse. Every time he opens his mouth, he's got a very squeaky voice. So Squeaky and the Bitch. But again, I say I like them very much, both guys.
And listen, they've cracked the code, right? Whatever the code is in a video game to get to God mode, they've found it because, again, they've never not been number one. They dominate.
Yeah.
The whole region is listening to them. I less than most. So when I do listen, it kind of makes my blood boil, and I don't want to hear Danny from Quincy call up and scream about a 14-3 football team, which I know is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can make their arguments before they even make them. Ben can confirm that when Dale and Michael and I approached the show, we said, we're just going to be authentic. We're going to be ourselves. I'm a fanboy. I tried to make analysis, but that's who I am. Dale's a broadcaster. Michael's a brilliant guy with tons of knowledge, and that's how we approached it. We didn't sit there and go, what can we do
to be controversial,
to cheese people off today? Yeah, exactly. This is an ancient reference, but you might get it. There was an old SNL skit in the early days where Buck Henry's got a talk show, like, talk back. I want to hear your opinion. We're talking about municipally funded bond issues. And no one's calling, so he's going, oh, let's talk about school busing, whatever. Can't get any calls, so he starts into Soviet-style communism. I'm all for it. Killing puppies. I think it's a good idea. Murdering old people. Anything to get calls. That kind of writ large is how sports radio is working.
But
that's
then they don't really use the calls.
Find that take that's going to.
They don't use the calls as
you want
much
to
as
piss
we
off
used
the guy who's driving his truck, so he'll call you and you can have a good argument. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes there's not anything going on. But you can't deny the fact that whatever they're doing, Felger and Maz get people to tune in.
And I can relate to that because my first job in radio was the overnights on WINF 1,000-watt Manchester, Connecticut AM station that had 0 listeners. And I was on there, and they'd say, open up the phones between 2 and 3 in the morning, in between, evangelist recordings of church fundraisers. Okay, so I go on at 2 o'clock, nothing. No calls. 646-1230. Nobody called. I'd say, okay, we'll talk about this tax issue. No, nothing. So finally, I tried to get controversial. I'd say, all right, I think the Pope's a pimp. What do you think? Give me a call. 646-1230. Nobody would call. It was like you could say anything you wanted to, and because there was no one listening. But, however, and then I tested that. I said, okay, caller number 3 wins $5,000. No one called. No one called. 0 phone calls. And I'm like, okay, fuck this. I put a Barbra Streisand record on the turntable and just let it track, and I went out and smoked a butt. I was like, fuck this job. And it was $1.85 an hour. But, sometimes you're desperate for calls. We never had that problem at EEI. And EEI always had a really lively afternoon. I mean, the phone banks were always full. What I'm thinking that still lacks in this market mix is the element that the big show seemed to have with the rotating guests. There was always a little bit of excitement as to a new cast every single day, and they had huge numbers despite being on a crappy AM radio signal. But we got to give kudos to WBZ FM for grabbing the opportunity and handling it well and just manipulating and dethroning the king of sports talk radio, which was at the time was WEEI. Good job by them. How's that?
Yeah, I hope this isn't too much insider baseball, but there are people at EEI still there that I like a lot, and I'm rooting for, and I want them to be successful. I mentioned Nick. There's others, and Entercom in general. I knew other people who worked at AAF and had friends there.
Sure,
but I found that Entercom had people whose sole job, I swear it said it right at the top of their job description, was to listen to people's creative ideas and find ways to shoot them down. It was unbelievable. If those people got hit by lightning tomorrow and didn't show up to work the next day, it would have had no negative impact on what was produced on the air or on the .com or on the social media or whatever. So I would shoot these man in the street videos. And they were a lot of fun to do, and it was just improv comedy,
I remember
whatever.
That.
By the time the thing got edited and went through all the people who had to approve of it, and I went to the Harvard-Yale game, and there was a guy on his hands and knees at 10 o'clock in the morning barfing his brains out. And I said, I'm like, there's a future justice of the Supreme Court there.
I left there, though. I left right after that.
Yeah. We weren't allowed to use it because they thought they might get sued by whoever that guy was. Well, why don't we just digitize his face out? No, can't have that. What are we doing? The last thing I did there, I shot video at Comic-Con in Rhode Island on a Saturday. It got approved on Friday. By then, the event had been in 3 different cities, but finally, all the layers of bureaucracy approved of it. There's your problem, lady. Just let creative people be creative. It's 2025. Yeah, you got FCC regulations, but just it's the Wild West again. Just let people do what they do and attract an audience instead of just telling them no all the time.
It's better.
So
it's easier.
That's my rant.
It's easier to ask for forgiveness than for permission. And it always has been in the broadcasting industry. And WEEI up in the management department, they had a bunch of fucking pussies running the show. They wouldn't let you do anything. They'd call me in on shit that I'd say, little minor league shit. But you're in a company now that seems to have brass balls from top to bottom. What an amazing story Barstool Sports has been, and we're proud to have you on and glad for your success with Barstool Sports. What's next for you? What are you going to do next? What's this background you're sitting in front of? What is that? Domination rankings of everything CBT. What is that?
It's not mine. I thought you put it up.
Who put that up there, Smitty? I don't know. What is it? I didn't tell. We got to find out what it is. We might be plugging some communist plot to take over Venezuela. Whoop.
Holy cow, guys.
You thought we put that up there?
Yeah, I sure did. So I didn't say anything about it. I think this might be left over from the last Zoom I did. I kid you not.
Okay.
I kid you not.
Well, next time you come on,
I don't know what I was.
Could you put up some cleavage
Holy
shots? Put some cleavage behind it.
You know what? I wish you had said something. I'm not kidding you. This was from a previous podcast I did with buddies of mine. Oh my God. I didn't even realize it because it was months ago.
It's fabulous, and now whoever's
does it matter? Because I'm serious. I'll do the show another time if it's gonna help you guys.
Well, no, we'll find something to put behind you next time, and believe me, it'll be epic. It'll be Sydney.
Yeah,
Sweeney.
I mean, I'm just in a bedroom. I thought you were putting it up because it was some sponsor thing. I swear to God.
No, that's not a sponsor of our CBT, Connecticut Bank and Trust. No, I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know where it came from either.
No, it's just guys do this thing where they just rank stuff. Oh my goodness gracious! All right, well, I gave a free plug to a podcast that has about like 6 viewers. So there we go. Are we going to edit this stuff out?
No, we're going to leave it just because we do things live as it is. We don't practice, we don't rehearse, we don't script, we don't do any of that shit.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I got a song coming. You know how we do the Castiglioki every single week?
Yeah.
With Joe and Jerry. I gave them the assignment today, Jerry Thornton, of coming up with. Drake May tribute song, but I gave him a list of things that rhyme with Drake. So we're going to see how they pull that off as this podcast comes to a close. And you, my friend, are not only one of my favorite people, but you are clearly one of the greatest guests we've ever had. And you're in the Hall of Fame. And that's why you get your cakes shipped directly to your door for your eating pleasure. You ready?
Well, my friend, it's a pleasure. And I say again, I get invited here all the time because the quality I bring to the table is availability.
And don't forget those.
That's my only ability.
Those domination rankings are a big part of it, though. Now, so we're going to take our musical break. Thanks to Jerry Thornton, our good pal, our good friend, for coming by again by Zoom this time, which is a first for all of us. And here's Joe and Jerry. Smitty, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Do I click? Which button do I click? This one right here? All right, I'm going to click this one and get some background music for Joe and Jerry. Here we go. Ready?
Are you ready, Joe?
I'm all set, troop. Every breath you take and every move you make. As your name is Drake and you're not a fake, we'll be watching you.
Troop. Every single day, Joe. And every word you say, Joe. Every game you play, Drake. Every bake you shake, I'll be watching you.
Oh, can't you see? I don't have VD.
Oh, my poor heart aches with every step he takes.
His name is Drake. Give him some Drake's cakes. 'Cause he's not a fake. He doesn't wake and bake. We'll be watching you.
That kind of sucks ass, Joe. What do you say we get the fuck out of here before we embarrass the franchise?
It's okay with me, pal. Good night, everybody.